Hello, Professor. Thank you for the extension. I couldn't be in class today and talk about my topic, so I'm just going to send you a video. So I'll start with the situation. On January 20th, 2021, it was reported that Canada would receive 0 pfitzer vaccines the following week as the company suspended deliveries to expand their manufacturing headquarters. The cut in deliveries would reduce the shipments to Canada for the next 3 to 4 weeks, putting Canada far behind other countries in its plan to vaccinate its population. So different countries like Israel had almost vaccinated their entire population by the time that Canada had gotten just their first dose of the pfitzer vaccine. People were beginning to lose sight of the main objective and starting to exclaim their distaste for the way that the Canadian government had procured the vaccine and the way that they were handling the situation. I think it's also extremely necessary to talk about the fact that the population of Canada had been following a stay-at-home order when the hiccup in the vaccination rollout was announced, and it was in parallel with that it was announced that multiple members of government had been found to have broken the stay-at-home guidelines and social distancing practices by flying out of the country for holidays and non-essential travel. Overall, it was extremely obvious that the Canadian government was losing its credibility and its public perception that it can keep its citizens safe, and that's a huge issue. So this is how the Canadian government and pfitzer handled the situation. pfitzer posted on their Canadian and American site about their need to increase space and manufacturing capacity at their place of business because of the urgent need for more vaccines for more people. I can't exactly understand why they wouldn't make a different location instead of shutting down the current location and still being able to manufacture vaccines while creating more space to make sure that the doses and the percentages allocated to each country would be balanced by the end of 2021. pfitzer reiterated that they remain dedicated to helping each country meet their vaccination needs without compromising health and safety standards. So the government did very little about the members violating and vacationing during the stay-at-home order, which didn't do much for the reputation and also didn't help with youth that have been told to stay at home for an entire year just to see them being able to vacation, which again didn't help with cases. Trudeau announced that pfitzer vials are would actually then contain 6 doses as opposed to 5 if they had a different syringe that they would be able to use, but health professionals were actually very weary on the new syringe and whether it would actually be viable to work or not. So once again, it was kind of a very wishy-washy situation. Trudeau stated that his main goal is still opening Canada and restarting the economy, and Trudeau stressed the setback was temporary and said Canada would still receive the doses that pfitzer promised by the end of March. So my analysis of the situation and what I think would be a better way to deal with the situation is I believe pfitzer actually did a pretty good job of approaching a very poor decision. The explanation that they needed more space and more capacity makes sense. They took responsibility for the situation and rectified their mistake by increasing their output and making sure that each country was still able to get the vaccines that were promised to them. The members of parliament really should have had to restart because my camera ran out of storage. Basically, I believe that this ties into the public perception that the public had for the leaders as the issues with the vaccine began to unfold. There would have been more trust for government's authority if the scandal had not occurred, in my opinion. But there was also a general mistrust that carried on when there was no second dose available, where there was once promises causing further or extended lockdowns for Canadian citizens, causing again turmoil and unhappiness in Canadian lives. I believe that there should have been a greater level of transparency and a quicker response as soon as they were aware of vaccines and when they would be late in Canada. They should have given the public the reason and assured them that the vaccines would arrive in Canada and people would be vaccinated by the agreed upon date by the end of March. Instead, Ford was aloof about when they would arrive and why he didn't have any more to give. He just announced that they would run out for the following week. Unlike pfitzer, he didn't give responsibility, and he didn't give a situation. He didn't let the public have the option of deciding if that situation was okay or not. Instead, he just kept the information to himself and made everybody kind of wonder, and the judgment of people back and forth was very strange and just concerning. I think that if he had just been very forthright, and if Trudeau had been very forthright, then the situation would have been much less dire. Thank you.